The woman screams, but no one hears her. Not because she's alone. Because everyone else is screaming too. The giant standing over her village is 30 feet tall. His shadow covers 3 houses. When he breathes, it sounds like wine through a cave. When he moves, the ground shakes. He's not the only one. Across the ancient world, these monsters are rising. Born from a union that should never have happened. Children of something that broke the barrier between heaven and earth. This is Nephilim Lore, the story of what happened when angels wanted what they saw. It started with watching. The sons of God, B'nai Elohim in Hebrew, were supposed to observe, guard, minister to humanity from a distance. But distance became desire. Genesis 6 verse 2 records it simply. The sons of God saw that the daughters of humans were beautiful, and they married any of them they chose. Saw. Wanted. Took. Not love. The text doesn't mention love. Just beauty. Just choice. Just taking. They descended from their posts. Beings of pure spirit taking physical form. Crossing a boundary God never intended to be crossed. Imagine the first contact. A woman alone at a well. A presence materializing. Too beautiful to be human. Too powerful to resist. Any of them they chose. Consent wasn't part of the equation. The angels called themselves watchers. But they stopped watching and started wanting. And when divine beings breed with humans, something unnatural is born. The Nephilim were coming. The pregnancies were wrong from the beginning. Women swelled too fast. Grew too large. Their bodies weren't designed for what was growing inside them. Many died in childbirth. The babies were too big. Too strong. Some clawed their way out. The ones who survived the birth stared at what they delivered and wept. These weren't human children. They grew impossibly fast. A 1-year-old stood 6 feet tall. By 5, they towered over grown men. By 10, they were giants. Genesis 6 verse 4 calls them Nephilim, the fallen ones. Or those who cause others to fall. They inherited strength from fathers who were never meant to breed with humanity. Supernatural power flowing through human veins. It twisted them. Their appetites were insatiable. They ate constantly. Consumed entire herds of cattle in days. Stripped fields bare. When the food ran out, they turned to each other. Then to humans. The Book of Enoch, ancient text, not in the Bible but referenced by it, describes them as cannibals. Giants who devoured everything in their path. Villages disappeared overnight. Farmers found their livestock ripped apart. Children vanished. Normal humans lived in constant terror. And the giants multiplied. More watchers descended. More women were taken. More Nephilim were born. The world was changing. Corrupting. Every inclination of thought turning to evil. God looked down at what his watchers had unleashed, at the abomination spreading across his creation, and his heart broke. Genesis 6 verse 6. The Lord regretted that he had made human beings on the earth, and his heart was deeply troubled. Something had to be done. The giants weren't just big. They were wrong. Their very existence corrupted everything around them. Violence spread like infection. Evil became normal. Genesis 6 verse 5. The Lord saw how great the wickedness of the human race had become on the earth, and that every inclination of the thoughts of the human heart was only evil all the time. All the time. Not occasional sin. Not periodic failure. Constant, unrelenting evil. Because the Nephilim weren't just violent, they were viral. Their presence twisted human nature itself. They became warlords. Tyrants. The heroes of old, men of renown, that Genesis mentions, but heroes to whom? Not to the villages they destroyed. Not to the families they consumed. Heroes to themselves. Legends built on blood. Ancient texts say they taught humans forbidden knowledge. Weapons of war. Sorcery. Perversions that hadn't existed before. The watchers who fathered them watched their hybrid children become monsters and did nothing. They'd already abandoned their posts. Their purpose. Their God. Meanwhile, humanity was dying. Pure human bloodlines were vanishing. The Nephilim took more women, bred more giants. The corruption spread. Except for one family. Genesis 6 verse 9. Noah was a righteous man, blameless among the people of his time, and he walked faithfully with God. Blameless. But the Hebrew is more specific, tamim, complete, whole, uncorrupted. His bloodline was pure. Untouched by the angelic violation. The last untainted humans on earth. God spoke to Noah. I am going to bring floodwaters on the earth to destroy all life under the heavens. If you're already hooked, hit subscribe. It gets darker before it gets better. The rain started. Not gradually. Not gently. The text says, the springs of the great deep burst forth, and the floodgates of the heavens were opened. Water from below. Water from above. The world drowning. The Nephilim were strong. Supernatural even. But they couldn't breathe water. They climbed mountains as the water rose. Fought each other for higher ground. Their strength meant nothing against the flood. One by one, the giants fell. Drowned. Sank beneath water that covered the highest peaks. The watchers who fathered them watched from wherever fallen angels go. Unable to save their abomination children. Unable to stop what they'd set in motion. 40 days. 40 nights. Every living thing that breathed air died. Except 8 people in an ark. And the animals with them. The world was washed clean. Reset. The corruption erased. But God remembered Noah. The water receded. The ark settled. Noah and his family stepped out onto empty earth. Clean. Pure. A fresh start. The Nephilim were gone. Every giant. Every hybrid. Every living violation of cosmic order, drowned. The story should end here. Fresh start. Humanity restored. God's creation reset to how it should be. But Genesis 6 verse 4 contains 7 words that change everything. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days, and also afterward. Afterward. After the flood. After every living thing died. After the world was washed clean. Somehow, impossibly, they came back. How? Noah's bloodline was pure. His sons were human. Only 8 people survived. So where did the giants come from? Generations passed after the flood. Humanity multiplied again. Spread across the earth. Then the reports started coming. Giants in Canaan. Not metaphorical. Not exaggerated. Real, towering, terrifying giants. Numbers 13:33. When Moses sent spies into the promised land, they came back trembling. We saw the Nephilim there. We seemed like grasshoppers in our own eyes, and we looked the same to them. Nephilim. The same word. The same monsters. But how? The flood killed them all. Every hybrid. Every giant. The text is clear. Unless. Theory 1. The Watchers descended again. Did the same thing. Created new Nephilim after the flood. Possible. But God had already judged the Watchers. Bound them. Jude 6 says, the angels who did not keep their positions of authority but abandoned their proper dwelling, these he has kept in darkness, bound with everlasting chains. They couldn't come back. They were imprisoned. Theory 2. Noah's sons were pure. But what about their wives? The text says Noah was tamim, uncorrupted. Says nothing about the women his sons married. What if one of them carried Nephilim genetics? Recessive. Hidden. Passed down through generations until it expressed again? The Bible doesn't say. Just records that after the flood, giants returned. Og of Bashan, his bed was 13 feet long. Goliath of Gath, over 9 feet tall. With 4 brothers, all giants. The sons of Anak. The Rephaim. The Emim. Different names. Same corruption. And God's command to Israel was clear. Destroy them completely. Not conquer. Not enslave. Exterminate. Because these weren't just enemies. They were abominations that shouldn't exist. The last Nephilim fell to a shepherd boy with a sling. Goliath. 9 feet tall. bronze armor, mocking the armies of Israel. David looked at him and saw what everyone else missed, just another abomination that needed to end. One stone. One shot. The giant fell. His brothers tried to continue the bloodline. David's mighty men hunted them down. One by one, the giant killers finished what Joshua started. The Nephilim disappeared from Scripture after that. No more giants. No more hybrid warriors. No more violations of cosmic order. They were gone. Finally. But their legacy remains. Every ancient culture has giant myths. The Greek Titans. The Norse Jotun. Sumerian kings who were two-thirds divine. Legends worldwide of gods breeding with humans. What if they're not myths? What if they're memories? The Nephilim prove something terrifying: boundaries matter. When divine beings cross into human space, corruption follows. When heaven and earth mix improperly, abomination results. The flood didn't happen because humans were sinful. Humans are always sinful. It happened because something unnatural entered the world. Something that couldn't be tolerated. Something that threatened to corrupt God's image in humanity forever. The Nephilim were never meant to exist. And when they did, God moved heaven and earth, literally, to erase them. The story isn't about giants. It's about what happens when boundaries are violated. When desire overrides design. When power takes instead of protects. This is Nephilim Core. The story everyone knows pieces of but few understand completely. Now you know why God flooded the earth. It wasn't judgment. It was mercy.